Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chayoung Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gaffer, David Wayne Foster, Edmund Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Henrik86, Jeranism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Renee, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, The Real Gabster, flatearthchannel.com had them, Tom Herkins and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in G+, and I believe a couple of people in Discord as well, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the first live show.
Someone doesn't think they're being recorded and then they say something they think they only want to say what I think that's the only time it might be a problem. But if they know in advance, then, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is the uncut, raw.
The uncut, unknown raw. Oh.
Hey, Nathan.
Hello.
You're right.
We've been recording your coffee sounds. We got them now.
Yeah, steal the after show, after show, but don't steal the actual show that I'm doing, because that would be great. Thank you.
It's not the after show, is it? It's the bootleg after show.
It's after the after show, there's the after party, according to Craig David.
Ah, right, the after party, right, got you.
You'll be on vacation someday, and there'll be a bootlegger on the city sidewalk selling bootleg music CDs, and they'll say the bootleg after pre-show.
Oh, it was classic last night. Absolutely.
What happened?
Classic. Well, I had Brian on to do a presentation, and it was more a case. It wasn't even a presentation. It wasn't supposed to be a presentation. It was supposed to be him coming on just to answer some questions that I think it was Joe Kovacs and Professor Phil Bell had put to him about his sunrise speeds. So, you know, I didn't expect it to be a presentation as such, but he did tell me, he says, oh, I need to go at midnight. You know, I can't stay, you know, he says, so I need to be finished up. I'll be finished up about 11:45, 12 o'clock at the latest, he says, because I've got things to do. I said, right, okay, yeah, no problem. So he's doing his presentation, and he told me it would be a quick one. Right, so it gets to about 5 to 12 and he's just rounding up, and I thought that's perfect, because in the chat I've been, you know, Brenda had been banging on about coming in to challenge Brian about this the presentation that he was talking about and the responses he was giving, and I'm like, I'll ask him when he's finished his presentation. So I was like, yeah, well, he's got to go at midnight anyway, so there's no way Brenda's going to go in. So he finished up and I said, yeah, I know you're busy for time, Brian, but just a quick one, you know, because Brenda, you know, I did say that I'd ask, you know, but Brenda says she wants to come in and challenge you on this, you know, expecting him to turn around and say, no, I've got things to do. It's, you know, I told you I can't stay beyond 12. Instead, he turned around and he went, yeah, but only for half an hour. So I was like, oh no, I can't bring Brenda in now. So yeah, Brenda, she came in and she totally toe tagged herself. Totally. It was the worst case of cognitive dissonance I think I've ever seen.
Did it last a half an hour, or did it keep going?
I think it went on for about an hour. I think it was about 1 o'clock when it finally finished.
We've trimmed it out, so when this goes out on Nathan Oakley channel, if you're around, you're a mod in that channel, so just stick the link to your clip that you trimmed out.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's oh man, it is the honest. I'm not even joking. It is the most cognitive dissonance I've ever seen for anybody ever.
Did it stay on topic about the sun speeds, or was it going?
It was
all
about
over the place?
No, it was the 24-hour sun, the Antarctic 24-hour sun. And she said, I asked her, I said, because she was debating Brian, and I'm like, and she says, well, there's loads of videos out there. I said, well, can you present a video? You know, no, you need to just Google it. Just Google it. There's hundreds. I said, well, can you present it then? No, you do it. And I'm like, right, okay. So I brought up Google, and I looked in for a 24 Antarctic sun, clicked a video, I'm watching this video, and it's clearly edited. You know, I mean, it's obvious, it's so obvious that it's been edited and bundled around with, you know. And I'm like, if this is just a 24-hour time lapse or a video of the sun, why do you need to edit it? You know, why does it have to be edited? And it's so clear that it's been edited. And she was having none of it. And the evidence was so overwhelming. I mean, everybody in the chat was like banging their head saying, how can this woman be refusing this evidence? You know, it's like she's swamped with it, but she stuck to her guns the whole way. No. And she even accused me of faking it. She freaked out.
She said, you edited it?
Yeah, she said, I'm calling you out, Ramsey. You have photoshopped that. You have done this. You're a fraud. You're a liar. You're a fraud. I'm like, holy shit. I've just done it live on the screen for everyone to see from a video. How can I be? Oh, it was just classic Brenda.
So let's see.
Yeah, it was pretty
When you went, good morning, Flatside. So when you went to see if there was a 24-hour unedited version, you found a 24-hour edited version, which really is not 24 hours. So say 20 hours or 16 hours. And then Brenda can't have any of it. So she blames you for editing it.
Yeah, she blamed me. And it was literally, it was the top result in Google. So it's like Google search and the top video there, the first one on the left. And when I open it up in videos, it's there again at the top. So I click it, obviously, because that's the main video. It's the one that Google are promoting. I think, yeah, because I've not looked into this stuff. You know, I've not looked into the Antarctic sun. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I watched the video and immediately I see there's issues with it. You know, and it just gets worse. The more I watch it, the more I played it back, the more issues it became. And it was just so bloody obvious. Sleeping Warrior, you were in there as well. You saw it.
Yeah, when you said that the clouds were the same clouds and she was denying it, I watched you do it live, and I saw how you came to your conclusion by constructing it in your mind. And at first, like, you'd obviously seen it, and then when you first presented it, I wasn't persuaded. But then once you'd refined it, you went away for 2 or 3 minutes whilst you got the exact frame that you wanted. And you're right, it was the same clouds. Now, at the end of the day, Brenda was presented the same evidence, and although it was behind a time delay, for her to say that she's checked it herself and it's not, I'm surprised you didn't jump all over that, stamp on her face repeatedly, and just kill her, because it was obvious that it was the same cloud footage.
I can bring up the image and I can show you this right now.
Yeah, I know, but you should have stamped on her head a lot more at the time.
I was too busy laughing. Honest to God, I was too busy laughing. I just couldn't believe what I was actually seeing. I mean, these are the two images. I mean, one's from 23 seconds on the video, and the other one's at 1 minute and 23, so a full minute after. And they do this 360. They pan around to the left, and they go around, and then they come back around again, and they end up in this sort of area here. Well, it's clearly the same image.
What's funny about these pictures is when we say things like, why is it NASA can't stick a camera on the side of a rocket and just leave it there, don't interrupt it? And they say, because they're not accountable to you whatsoever. What's the purpose of this video existing if NASA are not accountable to us at all? But this image does exist. Why would this image exist if it's almost, they have it both ways?
Let me answer. To lie about the nature of our world.
Yeah, I mean, this guy comes on with a watch, and he's in the background, this mountain in the background. He's got a watch. He says it's 5 past midnight. It's 5 past midnight, right? And this mountain behind over here, it has no snow on it at all. There's no snow anywhere. In fact, there's no snow down here in the buildings. See where it's all humped up, and it's like it's clear that there was some kind of storm that came over. But he's got this watch out, and he goes, "Yeah, it's 5 past midnight now. Now I'm going to do my 24-hour sun." And then it cuts to the next clip, and this mountain's fully covered in snow.
My favorite comment under the video you trimmed out. My favorite comment was somebody who quoted Brenda as saying, "Maybe it snowed overnight."
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh man, it was ridiculous. Oh,
I do recall seeing Jaron do something like this. Did anybody see that?
Yeah, Jaron debunked this in 2016.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I
Yeah, it's
remember
been
him
ages.
showing the shadows and things as well.
Do you remember the guy that did the skit video dedicated to Jerem, where he'd set the green screen up in the background and then Brian knocked over the thing? I can't remember what his name was, but it was a really good, like, tongue-in-cheek bit of good trolling, but friendly trolling, but it was really funny.
Oh yes, I remember that. It was exceptionally well produced. It led you in like it was really doing it, and then, like you say, the green screen behind collapses and the sham is revealed. But I remember it being exceptionally well produced.
It was really good, and he says it, he even says to the cameraman, he says, "Oh, Brian," as though it was his fault. It was brilliant.
We'll have to dig that out, because that was back then as well. That was probably 2000, just late 2016, I would say.
I think so.
Well,
Yeah.
according to, go ahead, Ray.
No, it's okay. Go on.
No, I was going to say, according to Brenda, Ranty missed his calling because he should be in Hollywood editing because he could do it on the dime.
yeah. Well, what it was, she was denying that it was the same image completely throughout for like 30 minutes at least. And then at the very end, she said, "I'm going to call you a liar. I'm going to call you out. You photoshopped that, blah, blah, blah." And I went, "Oh, right, hang on. Well, let me just clarify one thing then. So you think that I photoshopped it. So obviously, if you think I photoshopped it, you're going to agree that these images are identical?"
Yeah, that was a good call out, Ranty. Very clever.
And she went, "Yes."
I'm going to be honest though, it was nothing out of the ordinary. It was usual. No, you haven't proven that. No, it's not that. No, it doesn't show that. Just hand wave after hand wave. That's all you got.
But if this is how we need to approach the globe. These people that come in, these globe heads that come in, that behave the way they do, with the most overwhelming evidence that we have for how their model is incorrect and things that are wrong with it. This is just a perfect example of their doggedness in anything to do with proving the globe Earth. They will stick to it no matter what the proof.
Nathan, do you want an exclusive? Like my latest video. You know these oil platforms.
Yeah.
I've had 2 response videos. One's from Sean Hawkins, which, to be fair, was he'd put a bit of time into it. He'd fucked it up completely, but nonetheless, he'd done something. And Hillbilly Blue Balls, and Hillbilly Blue Balls has totally missed the point, but he's given me a really good still that I can use against them. It's just rendering now, and I'm ready for uploading it. But I was just wondering if you fancied doing it as an exclusive before it goes live on my show at the end of your show.
I was going to say, do it at the beginning. Do it at the beginning. So I'll ask any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurement, and you can offer up this or these as examples if you wish.
What do you mean? Well, I was going to say play the video as an exclusive, but if you want me to do it, if you want me to represent the video, I can do that if you want to.
Yeah,
I don't mind which.
But just it's that what they're addressing is a specific. It's Bullbusters 30. So they're addressing Bullbusters 30, and Bullbusters 30 is very specific about what we're addressing. It's the physical edge that a sphere requires to have boats go over or obscure something in the distance. That physical edge is what's being addressed. So if their debunking video is about that, then put it to the question, any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurement?
Okay, I can do that. The only downside with doing that
is your hesitance because you were unaware there's a new housekeeping question?
No, my hesitance is just because basically it's our strongest point these days. It's like the most recent killer proof. And because I've put the original video out and I've had a response from 2 people, it's just the ability to show these people that won't answer the question. They won't, and I just think that it's worth, like, yes, we can represent it, or we can play it at the end. It doesn't matter which. I just don't know which. I'm just trying to calculate which is the better approach, because which is the most hard hitting. Because we need to kill these fuckers, and I don't know how best to do it. But they just ignore the evidence that they're presented with and just deny, and I don't know how best to deal with it.
Explain exactly that. You know, the question on the table, the response that they are providing is in regards to a specific detail about a physical reification of an edge. So upon being asked that, if their rebuttal doesn't address that, that's not your problem.
Yeah, it's shocking. It does me head in that they've got this perception that they're holier than thou. I mean, Sean says a few things in the video that I've picked up on, and he says things like, if the horizon, because it's a ball, the horizon gets lower in the picture, and obviously it didn't get lower in the picture, and I've just played back shit like that. But basically, I'm not sure what's the best thing to do. There's many ways to skin a cat, but I think we should focus on it. Is Chocolate still here? Is he in the call?
He's not here yet. He will be. Well, I say he will be. He usually is.
Because I want Chocolate to explain that point, you know, where he says, like, the first picture can't exist if the second picture... Because basically, I don't know, man. These people are just deny, and I don't know how best to present it other than...
No, you already won, Anthony. When what you just said, Chocolate said, and what you did, and then them coming back with the absurd answer, that's it. You won. The audience gets it. Do it to the audience, not for them getting it, because they will fight it.
You're only addressing the fact that they've offered something so that the thickos can think that it's been debunked when they haven't addressed it. So just point that out.
Yeah. I just want Chocolate to be aware that he's going to get the opportunity to say his one line, because his one line, the way he worded it in the Ballbusters show, was fantastic. The first picture cannot exist if we are on a sphere. The second picture, sure, bit of bendy light, atmospheric refraction, whatever, but you can't have the horizon behind behind the platforms. And I just want him to be, like, clued up with that, because the way he words it is excellent.
I'm sure he'll be around.
So basically, if I remember that segment, that you look at the 2 different pictures, and the second picture, obviously you had. You couldn't see as far, but the first picture you did see. So the first picture negates everything else, because how'd you get the first picture?
Yeah.
You won, Anthony. Yep. Don't try to get them to acquiesce live on a show or on the debate, whatever. They're not. It's like Ranty said, look what happened with the cognitive dissonance just on his show last night.
Yeah, the problem is they've already made up their mind beforehand, so it doesn't matter what you present, they'll always have the same answer.
It's a tell. Often they will try and address things that they have no rebuttal to, so that in their mind they can make a little neural pathway that says they've debunked it, even if they haven't. And it also works on the complete drongos that watch. Oh, well, here's a video that's claiming to debunk it. Our case in point would be Hillbilly Blue Ball's gas pressure without a container, with 2 containers in the video. You can put the damaging detail in the heading, the title, gas pressure without a container. Well, that's all you need, the headline, to cognitively convince yourself that you've proven something, because you've convinced yourself you've got no container when you've got a container. But just pointing that out is all that's needed. No, there's a container there. Yeah, you saying you've got gas pressure without a container isn't actually what you've shown. Claiming you can have a horizon loomed up beyond a physical obstruction in the near foreground that is your physical sphere edge is an impossibility. That's all you've got to point out.
I just wish that these fucking ballers would be honest. Just can't do it no matter
say
what.
that again. You want someone to be honest when they see the evidence, and
Yeah,
they,
I want them to be fucking honest,
wait a minute. 2 and 2 is 4. They see that. We all see that, but they keep saying to you it's 7, and we're laughing our heads off because you're saying no. 2 and 2 is 4. And
Exactly. As much as in years gone by I've said it's extremely frustrating, you don't get a concession, you just go round and round in circles, with me getting ever more frustrated and angry with the fact that they're not admitting something that's painfully obvious to me. Now, it's also painfully obvious to many of the audience, and I've seen comments to that effect. Moreover, there's people who are making comments that their behaviour in this regard is actually detrimental to their cause, telling to the audience that they are, I don't know, I don't want to use any mental slur, but there's something not right, and the audience can tell. So it's not that we need them to suddenly concede, or that if they conceded, everyone would go, because they wouldn't. Even when you've got whatever his name is, George Musa, for example, in front of somebody who's claimed gravity is a force, telling them it's not a force, it doesn't change the fact that they will then just erase that from their mind, twist it into whatever they need for their religious belief to work. And that's precisely what they'll do, overtly. Now, I'm going to try and not get frustrated and do what Ranty did, and go, what? Okay. And then reassert the point again, because it just gives you an opportunity to reassert the winning point. The fact that they deny it is just telling to the audience.
Yeah, that was pretty good last night. I didn't get mad with her. I just laughed. It was so hilarious. It was so blatantly obvious that she was lying, lying to herself more than anything.
I'm going to have to sell Antony down the river a little bit now, because we had a conversation about this before the show began. But Antony's concerned for, I'm probably not speaking out of turn, Sleeping Warrior, for the drongos that watch, for example, gas pressure without a container, and then walk away going, hooray! Antony wants to appeal to them in a way that makes them appreciate where their favourite videographer and their assertions are incorrect. Now, my attitude before Antony responds is to say, you can't appeal to those people. They aren't your concern. You can't do anything about, complete thickos.
No, you are right. I know this. I just don't understand how they can ever criticise anybody for what they call being dishonest, yet they are the epitome of dishonesty. It's like, I don't know what level of evidence that they would accept it. I mean, do they need blasting off into space before they'll see that it's flat? It's the other way around. They used to say, why don't you just go to space to see that it's a curve? Well, what evidence would it take for you to realise that it's not a curve? Do you need to be blasted into space?
Yeah, attack is the best form of defence. Do the impossible to verify by way of reversal of burden of proof. That's what they're saying. You go to space to prove my religious belief and assertion is correct. Well, I'm not part of your cult. I don't need to prove this to myself. It's a violation of natural law. No, get in a rocket and go to space. Space isn't real. Yeah, but you haven't been there to prove that. It's like, it never end.
Well, that argument is ridiculous to begin with, because they said you don't have to go to space to see the Earth is curved. You see the ships disappearing. Now, because that's not happening, and we've answered that stupid response with angular resolution and convergence and vanishing point and all the different ways that your perspective shows things, and just to show what the two platforms prove it. Now they say, oh, well, you know what, forget all that. You got to go to space to see the Earth is curved. I said, wait a minute. Your own math says that at the 1 foot observer height, the horizon can't be further than 1.22 miles. That's your math. Now you're telling me I got to go to space to see that curvature that horizon would show? They're dead.
They never lived.
Thank you. So they're zombies.
Brains.
Yeah. 2015 arguments pointed out by Rory Cooper, otherwise known as My Perspective. If you've got a physical edge and you raise, it will drop. That's what happens if it's a physical obstruction. Now you can see further over that obstruction, but there's still an obstruction. And the way to visualise this is picture the blue marble, and then picture descending from the blue marble till the edge that's obscuring the other side of the blue marble becomes your horizon. Because it's a physical edge obscuring your view. You can't see over the other side of the blue marble because there's an edge in the way, the edge of the sphere, that is going to become your horizon when you descend. Likewise, as you ascend, eventually you're going to reach the point where you're looking at that edge of the sphere as a ball. Well, there's a transition in between those two things, where you're looking further over the edge, and it's becoming more and more curved because it's physical and part of a ball. Well, neither of those things ever happen, because the edge that they claim the ball they reify is not the diffraction limit, the horizon, the point where the sky appears to meet the ground. That is not the physical leading edge of a sphere obscuring things in the distance. It's dictated over an open space by the clarity of the day. Certainly not by the physical edge that obscures your view in the near foreground. That's not what the horizon is. Now, they've reified that and said that because a ball will have a point that you can't see past, a physical obstruction, the edge of the ball, therefore we're on a ball and that's what we see in the distance. Well, that isn't what we see in the distance. If it was, it wouldn't ever go beyond the point that it goes in images. You wouldn't have the physical leading edge beyond where things should be beyond the edge. That's an impossibility geometrically. And the reason is because you can't measure a not actual location geometrically. It's a not actual location, merely a reification of their ball edge into what we see and call the horizon.
So, begging the question.
Yeah, assuming that it's a reification fallacy first and foremost. Reify what their ball model would dictate you have. A physical, geometrically measurable edge. So if you reify that into what you see in the distance, then you have the reification of said edge, physical and all, into a not actual location. Well, when you use that as a proof, it's a begging the question fallacy. You've automatically assumed that what you see in the distance, the point where things get too small to see, is actually a physical, measurable edge of your reified ball. Well, then you're begging the question. But the point where they just say, well, the horizon's something boats can go over, it's something obscuring things in the distance, that makes it a physical edge, as you would expect if it was a ball. But it isn't. That's not what presents itself. It's moving. It's arbitrary. It's where the sky looks like it's meeting the ground. Looks like. Apparent. Not actual.
Come on, Chocolate. Where the fuck are you, man?
Need to start the live show.
Yeah, go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
Nip to the loo.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Ranty Flat Earth, Sleeping Warrior, 10th Man, Flatzoid and Arwin in G+. Very good to have you all.
Hey, hey.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Hello, and I've been fairly good at keeping you off mute in the Discord server, so hopefully a few of you will say hello. Hello, everyone in Discord server.
Morning.
Good morning. The only person who said hello was on mute.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So first and foremost, shout out to the latest member of Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, which is Eric 1111. So thank you very much for joining as a 1980 channel member. As I said in the intro, if you do want to join, there is a join button on PC and Android and a link below if you're on any other device. Should we crack on with a bit of housekeeping? Yay! Hooray for housekeeping! Yay! Oh, I'm glad you're all so enthusiastic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Arwin.
Okay.
Damn. We should have done the Sean Hawkins thing with Arwin just then. That was a brilliant opportunity.
Was that Arwen?
Hey!
No, we don't need that level of swearing on a live show. Any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurement?
Yeah.
What?
What?
No.
What?
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There is evidence.
Well, how about a spherical Earth edge?
That's what I've asked for. Physical
There is
edge.
evidence
Right, let's have it.
submitted by a caller of a leading edge of a sphere. Would you like me to present?
Of course.
Okay. So screen share. Wow, it's been a while since I've done this. Where is screen share? There it is. Okay. Let's get rid of Sean Hawkins' face. Let's get rid of that. All right. So we all know that the Ballbusters show on the Quantum Eraser channel a couple of days ago presented evidence of a two platforms. Was it BMSL or whatever his name was? 69, I think it is. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. And he's basically presented evidence of two oil platforms behind the curve. Well, this is the $1 million question. I just want to get my other picture up so I can present it on screen. Here it is. So let's flick this over here. Should have been a little bit more prepared, but it's okay. Okay. So this is the picture taken from 1 foot off the water on the beach. And I've inverted it so it's in negative format. Oops. It's in negative format so that we can have the conversation about where the horizon actually is. Now, we'll notice that the bottoms of the platforms are obscured by water. There is a boat in the middle of the picture, and there is the obvious horizon line behind the platforms. It's our position that this horizon behind the platforms at 10 miles away from 1 foot cannot exist. On a ball, the horizon is 1.2 miles away, and it's right down here somewhere. And all of these two platforms must be behind it, and they would be level. That's our position. This picture cannot exist if we're on a sphere. So, Hillbilly Blue Balls has put up a video recently, which I'm currently rendering my latest upload now, where he presents this picture. And this picture by Hillbilly Blue Balls, he claims is proof of Earth curve. Now, he claims that I've cherry-picked my picture to support the assertion that the Earth is flat by producing this one that shows that the Earth is curved. The problem is, if this was Earth curve, and it looks like it, because we can all see that the hard horizon is like, it seems to be very close to us. The platforms seem to be behind it, and that's the way it should look if the Earth is a sphere with the horizon at 1.2 miles. Now, I'm not going to go into why is the horizon at this height. I'm sure Ranty could talk about shoaling and tidal bore and all the other things that cause the water to ramp up as it's coming in. My point is that if this is Earth curve, it has to always be like this. And when they say refraction brings something back, it's got to bring back from behind the curve, right? On their model, it brings something back from behind the curve. The problem is this image would never exist if, oops, let's make it bigger again. If the Earth really was a sphere, this image would never exist because it's the existence of this picture that proves that we can't be on a sphere, because this would never, ever, 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 ever exist. The bottoms of the platforms, if it really were a sphere, they would be lined up with each other with a hard horizon, and then behind it you would get all the other loomed up stuff because the horizon is their edge. That's what it is. So we should be seeing land behind it, or whatever, water or whatever behind it. This boat would be behind it. Everything would be behind it, but the composition of this picture relative to the horizon behind it proves that it can't be a sphere, because this picture would never, ever, ever exist. Does anybody disagree or not understand the point that's being made?
Riley, can I ask you a question?
I can disagree. Yeah, go ahead, Flatsoid.
On that picture that you put, you said this is what you should expect on a sphere. How would you know how it looks on a sphere if we actually live on a flat plane?
We're applying it to the geometric curve calculator that tells us that at their distance, it should be the horizon in the foreground at a mile away, then both platforms behind it and dropping, and this would support the assertion that we live on a sphere. It indicates that we live on a sphere, right?
No.
Let's not talk about why.
No. That's where I was going to object. If you assume that line that you keep calling the hard horizon, well, I didn't interrupt because I thought I hoped that you'd say at the end that is their edge. Well, on the assumption that based on a sphere model that would have an edge, that the point we see here where the sky appears to meet the ground is also a physical edge. So we have to make that assumption first. Now, under that assumption, you can say it matches with the mathematics that exclude perspective. Yes, you can make that declaration. We're still reifying a physical edge into existence, but based on us reifying a physical edge based on what a model says, this, when excluding all aspects of perspective and run through those maths which exclude perspective, would say this correlates with an assumption that you've got a physical edge that's obscuring things in the distance.
Bring up Walter Bislin's Earth curve calculator, please, Tony.
I will. Just give me 1 sec. In the video that Hillbilly Blue Ball cites, the guy that made the original video was put this: most days, normal visibility of platforms and boats will appear they are behind the horizon. Appear being the operative word. They will appear they are behind the horizon of the Earth. So that's the starting point. The normal day, on the normal day with normal visibility, the platforms appear that they're behind the curve. And I guess this is what he's referring to. The issue is, why does the other picture exist? Because if this is supposed to be like in normal conditions and whatever, and that's supposed to be consistent with a ball, the other image can't exist. It does not exist real world. The horizon is never, ever, ever behind the platforms, ever. So it must be the case that something else is causing the higher tide in the foreground, because this can't exist. I wish Chocolate was here now to say it, but
well, he would say, "How'd you get the second pic? How'd you get this picture then? If the Earth is a ball."
So Walter Bislin.
Yes, please. If you just put the Walter Bislin Earth curve calculator up, and then you move that red marker just to show what would happen to a building that's being quote unquote loomed beyond a horizon, you'll get a pretty good idea of how the globe perceived this to happen. So just scroll down a tad.
Oops, I'm just trying to zoom in a bit. There we go. Scroll down a tad.
Yeah, just to go to the refraction part.
Oh, right, okay, I get it.
You want to be able to move that refraction and see the objects move as well at the same time. There we go. What do you notice? The horizon always stays in the same position, and the object is always behind the horizon. So that first image that you showed, Tony, cannot exist in their model.
So let me get this straight, Ranty. Are you saying that the Walter Bislin's curve calculator demonstrates that the second picture that we're beating our drums about cannot exist? Because if you can see it, actually, you can see that it rises up to the curve on their model, then drops behind the curve as it goes over the curve. Well, where is the horizon ever behind it unless... I mean, what's this one saying here at the full right?
Let me just summarize this. What you're demonstrating with this model is the physicality of Earth curve edge obscuring something in the distance. Now, that physical edge will always behave like a physical edge regardless of how much you claim things beyond it are being loomed, with absolutely no justification beyond a begging the question fallacy, which is terrestrial refraction 7/6r, or a slider that increases or decreases that value. The point is, it's a physical edge that this depiction, whatever that thing is that's in orange and yellow, is going beyond, because it's physical. Your edge. That's what's being modelled. That's the end of the edge, and things are going over it according to your rhetoric. Remember, boats going over the edge? Yeah, that's what this is showing. Physicality to something we call the horizon, a not actual location that you cannot measure and has no geometry. It moves depending on the conditions. Now, the point that's being made by sliding this up and down is that the horizon is beyond this, which is representative of the oil rig, which cannot happen if it's a physical edge. Earth's
Nathan,
not
I've
a
just
sphere.
realised what this is telling us. Nathan, look, I've realised what this is telling us. This is putting, basically, on the left-hand side, that is more curvy, more bally. On the right-hand side, it's flat.
Maxed
So
out,
basically, they apply more refraction and it goes behind the curve more and more and more. But that's what happens on their ball. But to flatten out the curve, they go more and more to the right. And all they do is they add a bit more refraction, right? Any amount of refraction will do. But look at how much refraction they've got to do to get the horizon behind the behind the platform. Oh, look, that's flat. You've got to put your refraction calculator flat to get it to look. In other words, it's flat because it can't be anything else. There's no curves being applied because they've modeled it back to flat, and that's what it looks like.
So in other words, it's just perspective.
Well, yeah,
no,
the
in other words, their
no, he's
refraction
right.
calculator has to be pushed all the way to flat to get it to match what we see, because the horizon is behind the oil platforms. Well, the only way you can do that is by pushing it to flat, because flat's on the right side.
Pushing their model. Pushing their model to flat. Their model, which excludes perspective and calls perspective Earth curve, as correctly identified by Flatzoid. Yes, this model is a bastardization of perspective. And the problem with that is that you'd need a physical edge in this bastardization. They don't have one. We have a not actual location called the horizon, which often can move beyond where a physical edge would allow it to be. And that's not an effective refraction. You can't loom a physical edge that's obscuring things beyond things they're supposed to be obscured by. It's preposterous and won't work, and admirably demonstrates we don't have a physical sphere edge reified into a position called the horizon. That's not what it is. It doesn't have a postcode. It's not physical, not capable of being measured with geometry. It's just a reification fallacy based on what they think the Earth is based on a sphere model. It isn't.
So when Soundy did his Lake Pontchartrain stuff, for them to explain it, they had to put the thing over here somewhere, because obviously if Pontchartrain's true, we're living on a basketball, right? So Pontchartrain was explained by putting the thing down here. But to explain the oil platforms, we've got to bring it all the way up to here, which is basically flat. So on the one hand, they argue it's down here for Pontchartrain to explain how it looks so small. But now they've got to say, oh, actually, we need to shove it all the way up to flat, because it actually is flat on the image that we're looking. This actually proves, because the horizon is behind the turbines and none of the ballers will address it. They will all do anything about, they'll deny it. They'll talk about something else. I mean, the only one baller that I
Hang on, Anthony, keep it right here on this picture with the negative that you have. Does everyone see the horizon is beyond the second platform? Does everyone see that?
What, the not actual
apparent
location?
horizon.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Wait,
It's
horizon?
obvious.
The horizon?
Okay,
So
Anthony, go back to that.
is this, and then the horizon is behind it, and the only
No, forget this. Forget this. Go back to your picture for a minute. Thank you.
Right.
You can't have this picture.
no.
Forget the calculator. Forget everything. According to their radius of 3959 at a 1 foot observer height, the curvature, the horizon, hard line for their globe cannot be further than 1.22 miles. It's over.
Yeah, and this is
Over.
This is, of course, applying the concept that they believe that light follows a curved path, but it doesn't. They're lying to you about what light actually does. So I haven't cited these.
Nathan said it. Whatever they want to say is looming, it can't be the horizon. Got to be
Yeah, that's right.
objects.
Well, it can be if they misinterpret what looming is.
Well, they
And
have.
do.
No,
Right, number
No,
one,
yeah,
they're
you're
not
right.
using. Number one, they're not studying any atmospheric effects. They're assuming terrestrial refraction. This slider that's being adjusted in this model isn't saying what were the conditions on the day. It's saying let's arbitrarily increase or decrease terrestrial refraction. No measurements are being made, so they're not actually confirming that looming is what's occurring. No. That would be an atmospheric condition. They're adjusting their model.
What I want to do, I want to cite these documents that M. Scott Veitch managed to get removed from the internet, because we haven't had any good arguments to do with light for ages. Don't just take that with a pinch of salt. These documents no longer exist online because M. Scott Veitch did not like them, and I challenged him to get them removed if he didn't like them, and somehow he did. And one of the things, there's two documents I'm going to cite, and they're both directly to do with atmospheric phenomena, otherwise known as refraction. And this one from a guy called Gutierrez, he was trying to simulate how it looks like on a computer. And what he said was the simulation he's based his simulation on was based on three main points. Fermat's principle, which is on the trajectory of light, which yields the physically based description of the light path through a non-homogeneous medium with a continuously varying index of refraction. That bit's really important. It's not continuously getting stronger and therefore creating a curve. It's continuously varying both ways, right, up as well as down. And then I want to go to this next one, which this is from so this is a high school in somewhere, and the ballers laugh at this. They don't like this because it's just a high school. But it doesn't change the fact that they're citing what the actual current position is with light. And I start with just the introduction. It is well known that the Earth's atmosphere is not homogeneous because we do live in a gradient, right? As a result, light traveling in the atmosphere will undergo refraction, and the traveling path will, and this is the key bit, deviate from a straight line. It doesn't mean follow a curved path because it's going up and down a bit, up and down, up and down. It's like a wave. Now, don't get confused with the terminology here. I'm contrasting wave to curve because it's varying from point to point to point. Some of it's a little bit more refractive than others, but you're looking at generally a straight line. And we know that the effects of refraction overall are negligible. And this is the bit that they hate, because when I cite under standard circumstances, the effects of refraction are negligible. If you pull up the word negligible, it says so meaningless or not worth talking about. So why is the whole argument so important about refraction, but it states in the actual science that the effects of refraction are negligible? And when it talks about the non-negligible, it talks about things called inferior mirage, fata morgana, fata bromosa.
Can I answer you? Let me answer. Because they are two different things. One is real. You're describing it now, actual atmospheric conditions, what may occur in the actual atmospheric conditions that we observe. The other is an arbitrarily applied 7/6R to a model we don't live on.
Yeah. So I'm just wrapping up my my latest video, and it's going to be uploaded in time for the end of this show. And it's basically Sean Hawkins and Blue Marble Science telling us, trying to respond to the oil platforms video, and basically they're lying to everybody. They're lying by omission, not overtly lying. They're just not telling you the truth. So I'm just going to finish my presentation with this on screen, just so everyone can see it. Go on, Tim.
Anthony. Yeah, let me just say this. Just today's show, not saying anything about the ball busters that's going to be repeated, I believe, next Tuesday by QE again. Just today's show, the back and forth. This is enough with just the pictures you showed and the commentary that the audience gets it.
Yeah, great presentation.
Some of them
Great.
don't. No, you're wrong. I've got to stop you. No, you're wrong. There are plenty of thickos that watch those channels detailed that will just assume the debunking is sound regardless. So no, those are actually the people Anthony's appealing to. Now, in spite of my protestations that it's fruitless, and you're doing the same, but saying, no, the audience will get it. Well, no. I've just got to shout out a super chat, I'm sorry. Light energy. Per sphere argument, why does curve appear shorter distance, but not left to right on water? Shouldn't the curve be more obvious on the latter? Well, no, because they're using the horizon as a reified sphere edge to obstruct things, as opposed to measuring actual curvature. Now, if you look in the advanced tab on Mick West's calculator, there is a section that they would claim that you can measure ground level curvature, and was claimed to be evident in the Isle of Man composite, i.e. if you wrap around several images, you're supposed to be able to see left to right curvature according to their mathematics. Now again, it's in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator that is only applicable to a model we don't live on, and utilises terrestrial refraction, sod all to do with the actual atmospheric conditions. And also, moreover, to answer your question, Light Energy, thank you very much for the super chat, they're reifying the horizon into a sphere edge to make these assertions. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. Did you want to...
Nathan,
go on, Tensman.
respectfully, I would disagree with what you said, Nathan, and I'll explain if you want me to.
Yeah, if you think the audience will get it. I know they don't.
Yeah. Well, when I say audience, I'm thinking of a different audience. When you said audience, you're thinking of the thickos. So I'm talking about people who could clearly see two pictures, and Chocolate's valid statement. You can't have the first one if you say what you're saying about the second one. So how'd you get the first one?
Well, by believing there's another type of refraction going on beside the actual empirically proven
You
refraction,
can't
which is negligible.
Arwen, we already stated you can't loom the horizon.
Yeah, but they believe they can.
I don't care. They're crazies and
It
white
doesn't matter what
jackets.
they
Right.
believe.
Well, they
working at
believe
Bellevue.
gravity's a thing too, even though they can't really point out what it actually is and
Yes,
agree
that's right.
upon that.
Okay,
They
let
still
me
do
let
it.
me explain it another way. Assume I work at a mental institution as a assistant to the doctors, and then when I come home, I tell my family about what happened that day. And after a few months, my family says, "Stop talking about that. They are what they are. They're crazy. You're working at a crazy institution. We don't care what they say. They're there and you're trying to help them get better. I'm not here to diagnose their cognitive dissonance. I'm here to show truth and the evidence for it, and the audience gets it." Now, which audience am I referring to? The ones that see two pictures and could clearly think, well, you can't have that other one if you have this one. So what are they saying?
I
Globe
understand.
dies. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
But I have a rebuttal to that, though, and that is that, hey, there's people watching this that aren't necessarily hardcore ballers right away, that, well, they may need a little extra protection to basically give them a heads up as to what the ballers are going to respond with, because they might not be used to that level of doublethink and all, and still be fooled. So by preemptively explaining exactly what they're going to do and getting it right, we're getting even more weight for the outsider viewers.
Well, you answered a question that wasn't even on the table. The question is this, or the statement is this, to validate the truth to where I said the audience gets it. At a 1 foot observer height, based on their math of 3959 radius, the horizon cannot be further than 1.22 miles. Now, notice what that says, cannot be further. Now, it could be less because of obstruction, of fog, or other atmospheric conditions. But physically on their globe math, it cannot be more than 1.22 miles. So here we are at a 1 foot observer height on a clear day where we're under all the junk, as we like to say, and we could see past the second platform well over 9.41 miles away. So that cannot exist ever on a globe. End of story.
I heard you the first time.
Okay, so why are we arguing what they think when you show them proof?
Because they still apply other machinations on top of that.
Let's
like R-based refraction, which is fictional.
I know that Anthony's got an answer to this because we discussed it this morning in terms of who he's appealing to and why he's appealing to them. So can't we just get an answer from the horse's mouth? Thank you very much for the presentation, by the way, Anthony.
No worries.
In a way, to be...
Not you, Arwen. Arwen.
What?
Sleeping Warrior has specifically got a target audience in mind, which is being challenged by 10th Man, and he's saying, well, no, I'm talking about the non-thicko audience. Okay. Well, go ahead, Anthony.
So was I. So was I.
Arwen, I want Sleeping Warrior to clarify his presentation and who he's appealing to, please.
To be honest, we all know that a lot of these protagonists on their side will never, ever, ever concede any points. But my target audience is them people, because we have stupid people that are preaching the gospel, like Sean Hawkins, Blue Marble Science, Conspiracy Cats, Sean Huffrod, Miles the Liar Davis. These are not, most of the time, these are normal Joe blogs like you and I, but they're preaching this bullshit. and I'm appealing to them because I know they're never going to change their mind. But if I appeal to the normal audience like everybody does, the normal audience gets it. But I just want to talk to them directly because, well, we can't debate them because it always ends up being a shit show because they won't ever accept anything. They end up doing what Brenda does. And I just want to see these people basically wriggle and squirm their way out of this. And I'm not going to let go of it. So my audience really is the drongos that push this stuff, not the audience, drongos that push it, like Sean Huffrod, Blue Marble Science, Sean Hawkins, Jose Gonzalez. All of these morons, that's who I'm appealing to.
Well, I would say to that this. That's fine now that I know your context in which you said it. However, when I'm with people who think the same way I do, there's no contrast. We're all nodding our heads, having a beer, smoking a cigar, and saying, yeah. But when I have one of them on the other side, and I could get some traction by asking good questions, showing them, for example, this evidence of the 1.22 miles and all that, I don't want to go into it, but all of that, what that suggests. And I said, well, what make you of this? If you believe in the ball, how can this happen? That's the moment of that's the moment of magic I'm waiting for anyone watching us do that debate over that subject to say, oh, well, that's pretty good evidence. You can't have that if the Earth is a globe. End of story. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm just wondering how many times did they need to slide the refraction calculator all the way up and down to explain their nonsense? When the reality is on this one, you've got to go basically to flat because you can't have any curve at all whatsoever. Now, even though you can slide the slider up and explain it, all the science tells you that light varies from point to point to point. It does not follow a gradiented path the way that you believe it does. It's the actual science that tells you the truth. It's not the story. It's not the model. It's not the people pushing it. Light doesn't curve in the atmosphere. It varies from point to point applying Fermat's principle. Snell's law does not apply. There's no change in medium. You need a change in medium for Snell's law to apply. Water vapor is less dense than the water that you're looking, or the air above the water. When less dense water vapor, light travels through it, it bends away from the norm. It bends up. So when you're looking across water and there's water vapor involved, that's going to bend it the opposite way and make it look more curvy. Not flat, more curvy. Ballers ignore the science. They tell you the story. They all sit around there, 10 of them all together, and they all go, yeah, like they do in government, and they all agree with each other. But light doesn't follow a curved path, guys. It varies from point to point.
But don't you also need a barrier for Snell's law to work?
Yeah, you need a medium change. You need a barrier.
Why don't you just call it deflects? It doesn't bend, it deflects. In a corner.
Doing it again.
It doesn't bend.
Sorry, we need to draw some clarity. One is in a model, the other is in reality. Whereas we seem to be slipping between the two, like they're comparable.
Yeah, Anthony, if you want to change the subject to their model and what it does and what it doesn't do and state it as a model, that's a different subject. I'm still on the picture that could not be taken if we're on the globe.
Yeah, I agree. Just because they can slide the refraction bullshit, the bullshitometer up and down to explain stuff, doesn't mean that that's what's going on real world. Sure, you can model it, but I could model anything and say it's true. But it's the reality that you've got to look at, and you've got to look at the science, not the model, the actual science. Light does not bend. It varies from point to point, and that can go up as well as down. And when you realize that water vapor is less dense, when it's less dense, the light bends up. It kills their model, guys. Don't let them get away with refraction. It doesn't follow a curved path.
Right, we've had half an hour on the first housekeeping question. Any more comments on the reification of a physical edge into the not actual position we call the horizon?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The last statement Sleeping Warrior said, give them all the refraction they want. It doesn't change that picture.
Spurs.
Ranty. Go on mute, Ranty.
Ugh.
Yep.
Noob.
Right, let's move on. Any evidence of Earth curvature?
Not from Crescent Bay.
It's not
I
curving.
think we kind of demolished it.
Yeah, after we got the horizon not being the leading edge of a sphere, out of the way, it's kind of difficult to, even more difficult to back up the claim now. That there would be any
doesn't
kind
have
of
to be the
curvature.
horizon. Then you don't have to utilize that particular reification fallacy to potentially prove that we have Earth curvature. If we're on a
But
sphere,
it
this
is
should
one
be
of the
easy.
more, but it is one of the more personal, convincing things, little trinket illusions that that could go along with it preliminarily.
That's lovely.
Anyway,
Any
yeah.
evidence of Earth curvature?
No.
Well, there is a interesting, how can I put it, in the sailing world that I'm researching, they're talking about 600 miles where you just use plain trigonometry. Because for 600 miles, it doesn't need to be spherical trigonometry.
Nautical
600
miles.
miles.
Nautical
Yeah.
miles. Yeah, this is something that Egan Mihalski focused on about 8 months ago. I think he still does. He still titles some of his song videos about the nautical miles that are considered flat.
So was that square miles or miles squared?
I'm pretty sure it's square miles, but yes, I remember that argument too, Arwin. Any evidence of axial rotation?
On a car?
Oh my god.
What?
But you're sorting out an audio issue, which is why I didn't add that. Any evidence of Earth-based axial rotation?
Stars in the southern skies. Nathan.
Earth-based axial rotation.
Stars. I want my stars argument.
So is that Earth-based?
I want my stars argument, Nathan. Let me have.
What? You want your stars argument? You want to formulate a fallacy about
Have any
stars?
Earth-based Earth curvature, Earth rotation arguments? I want my stars one. Let me have them, please.
But maybe you could philosophically argue that if everything is relative anyway, then it doesn't really matter whether the universe is turning around the Earth or the Earth is turning around in between the universe. That way you could, from a relative perspective, you could say the Earth is turning, if you presuppose everything else.
Yeah.
by the
And I'm
way.
asking for evidence of the latter. Any evidence of that?
No.
There's models, Nathan. There's models of it.
I don't live on a model. I don't care what a model does.
I know, but globers have models.
That's lovely. How nice.
But the math works.
I'd rather have flesh and blood models.
Math is abstract. Ugh. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No. They
What
don't
type
even know
of-
what it is.
What type of gravity?
I don't care.
Scientific evidence of an effect?
I don't
Accelerating cup.
Don't care. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Oh,
No.
I think Fuzzy Ewok's trying to speak and he's on mute. Hold on a second. Go ahead, Fuzzy Ewok.
So I know this is begging the question a little bit, but so the sun's gravity is what's pulling the Earth in the heliocentric model throughout the cosmos, yes, and all the other planets and everything, right?
Yeah,
So-
the Earth's falling
But
around
yeah.
the sun in an orbit in their model. Yes.
Right. So, and then whenever we ask about gas pressure without a container, everyone says, well, I mean, the gravity's holding the atmosphere, the little gas molecules, right? So-
They might say that, but no, gravity's not a force.
Well, that's what. Well, of course, no, in there, right? Yeah. So, if the sun is gravity is theoretically whatever powerful enough to carry all of the planets and moon and all of that stuff with it, does that mean that it's not strong enough to pull the gas off of said planetoid? Like, this
You're
doesn't make
asking,
any sense.
you're asking me to reverse their doublespeak into the assertion of its weak force. Is that what you're trying to do? Because that's not
Well,
the
no,
current rhetoric. The bending of space-time. So there's no force involved. I mean, that leaves you with two problems. One, how are you going to validate it? Two, how are you going to then assert that you've got a force holding the gas pressure here? Well, these aren't our problems. They're just holes in the rhetoric.
No, I appreciate that totally, but I don't understand why, if you present that to someone who thinks that gravity is one of these forces that they claim, even though it's not, and it's not the bending of space-time, how do they get over that little hurdle of a big hole of the fact that if it's strong enough to do that, but it's not taking the air away?
Well, I'll tell you the answer.
They don't.
This is not real. And in the same way as you can have a plot hole in a movie and you can just discuss the plot hole, but it doesn't affect the fact that the movie's been edited and laid down and you've watched it the way it is and it's going to remain that way. Well, the rhetoric will remain that way, despite there being glaring holes in it. That's just the rhetoric of a religious belief in a sphere Earth that's been many people under the impression that a model is their reality. Well, there's a lot of holes with the comparison between the model and reality, but overall, you should just recognise we don't live on the model.
Okay, cool. So in that case, then no scientific evidence of gravity.
Any valid scientific hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Shout out to Danny Faulkner.
That would be a glaring no.
That retracted.
Retracted.
Well done.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
No.
What's the sun?
Oh, no, there was.
Good question.
There was a Thompson satellite or something. I can't remember what the name of it was now, but I've not heard anything about that since.
Good question. What's the sun? Any evidence that you can have gas
An
pressure?
apparent light disk. Oh.
Go on, Alwyn. Go ahead.
It just seems to be what we see or what is perceived optically as an apparent sun disk, a light phenomena at the epicenter of where the daylight comes from in relation to the observer's position on the Earth. But yeah,
that doesn't tell us
what's
what
the
it
distance?
is,
Is it even a physical thing? It's just that's what we see.
Yeah.
Don't you do geometry?
On what? What is it again?
I'm just claiming what they claim. We don't do geometry. Trick.
Yeah, we don't need to get all triggered here.
Fair enough. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, hey chocolate, without the necessary antecedent of a container?
No way.
Good morning.
Can you have chocolate without milk?
Chocolate without milk? Yeah, you can.
Dark chocolate, baby.
Can you have gas pressure without a container, though?
No, you can't.
Oh, I had another idea about this the other day about antecedents and how Anthony always uses he wants to use dog shit as a must have dog, but then we use honey and bees, right? At some point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about banana peel? That's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, that's good as well.
Dog shit's better.
No, it's not. It begs the
Also,
question.
did I miss the Matrix episode?
No. Dog shit's useless because it begs the question. It in itself is a fallacious argument to assert that it's dog shit. Because it's dog shit? Well, no, it's just shit, other than you adding the word dog on, assuming that it's come out of a dog. When this came up last time, I used steak, and I only said steak. They could have tuna steak, you could have beef steak. Now, my joking rebuttal, was to say, no, I asked the chef, and he said it was beef. So that's why you end up with this. You've got to take it as read that the chef's correct. Well, no, the better antecedent consequent relationship would be honey bee or banana and banana peel, because if it's a synthetic version, then it isn't banana peel anymore. Or if it's a synthetic version of honey, it's not come from a bee. It's not honey.
Right. You are right. If you say dog shit, it does beg the question. You're right. I just like the analogy because everyone knows that you need a dog for dog shit, right? I get your point. I just prefer saying dog shit because it's a good thing to say.
I know that. I know you know the reason why we don't use it, and I also know that you just want to say the words dog shit on a live show. I know all of these things, and I know that's why we've just had this conversation. Frustrating though it is for me.
Nathan, I remember back in the early days when we used to argue over like in the Isle of Man stuff when we were arguing over refraction, and we were well into their arguments to do with, well, where did they get the heights from, and is this down to a geoid and all this? And the further down the rabbit hole you go, the deeper into their model you go, you're basically trapped within their model, and you're begging the question. But the reality is, you don't even have to go into their model, and we've realised that now with Coriolis, with refraction, with a lot of stuff. It's only in their model where this argument exists. In their model, not in science, not in the
Music to my ears, Anthony.
You put me on screen, Nathan?
I can. Is this anything to do with the R value I'm about to ask about?
Radius. So I suppose you could sort of include it in that.
You're
Maybe
on.
not.
I was going to ask any evidence of Earth radius, but you're on screen anyway. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is for the audience that didn't come to your after show yesterday, because at the end of yesterday's show, I said I was going to present something that Slice Arcade had modelled that essentially proves that, you know, this image here in the centre, the one that I took of these turbines, is more of a flat Earth proof than the globe Earth proof. And I also want to prove that the modelling of said looking through the camera at either a flat plane or a globe that Slice Barkane did as well. So he put the distances in, the height of the turbines, etc. And he showed what it would look like through the camera, one on the right and one on the left. Now, one of these is on a flat plane and one of these is on a globe. So I'd like the audience to have a guess which they think is the flat image and which is the globe, because to the layman, when you just look at it, you can barely tell any difference. And this is the point that I want to make, is that when you see this type of effect on these wind turbines and they're getting smaller with distance and they start to paddle the water, it happens on both. You can model it on a globe or a flat, and it will still look pretty much the same. It's very hard to distinguish one from the other. So I'm going to reveal which is which, because you know this, Nathan. The one on the left was modeled on a flat plane, and the one on the right was modeled as what it would look like on a globe. And both of these are through the camera, through the P900, with the same focal length, the same height of the turbine, same distance, everything that you can think of that would give you what it would look like on both modeled out. And would you believe it, that this line here, which is slightly, which isn't as severe as this line here, because you can see the feet are dropping down a little bit more. This one on the flat plane matches up more to this image than this one. So thank you, Slice Arcade.
No worries, I've got an extra bit to add on before I thank you. So can you zoom in onto the right-hand image that shows how these turbines bend around the sphere? Now, obviously, this has been given some artistic license by Slice Barkane, because according to them, this line is a physical edge that's obscuring your view. Now, despite the fact that this is in their reification of a globe world, a physical edge that obscures your view, in his interpretation, he's showing you just how much they are actually going around a curve. So are we all clear on that before I give my little addition to this presentation visually? We all clear that what this is showing is just how much they go over and around in a curving motion. We're all clear on that, yeah?
Over an actual curve.
Well, they're curving. That's what he's showing, just how much they're curving. So now I'm going to show you what Ranty put together after the fact. What we've got on screen now is the same picture. It's looking down the line of these wind turbines. So albeit ever so slightly 1 degree maybe off, he's looking from one at, I think it's 11 miles. I can't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. It's months ago. And the furthest one is at 13 miles, or there or thereabouts. So we're seeing the exponential effect of it curving around the sphere as depicted in the image that's just been shown to you. So I'll put that back up once more. This is how much they're curving, because it's going around a curve. Now what Ranty then did was he went side on to these claimed to be going over a curve turbines. The current closest one at, I think it's actually 9 miles and the furthest at 12 miles or something like that. But the closest being the closest. And when you draw a line along them side on, you'll notice that there's absolutely no curving whatsoever occurring in the image. Now, by coincidence, if you can zoom back out, Ranty, just for... By coincidence, the effect described by perspective would show them getting smaller with distance, creating the illusion that can be interpreted, if you ignore perspective, that they're going over a curved edge. But they're not. They're absolutely unequivocally level and flat. Now, in this depiction on screen now, you can also see that there are more distant turbines. That's why there's multiple lines. Now, the more distant turbines, again, surprisingly, have succumbed to the effect of perspective and are lower down in the picture because they're further away. That's perspective. But they're all completely level when you pan on 90-degree angle to them. I mean, in actuality, looking at them from 90 degrees, as opposed to taking the original image, which I'm going to put back on now, and presenting it in Muppet Vision, an orthographic representation, a false 90-degree side-on presentation of this that would show them going over and curving. But they're not. They're flat.
Well said, Nate.
Thank you, Ranty. Great presentation. And yeah, check out Nathan Oakley channel if you're not subscribed already, where we have many of these conversations that don't necessarily make it to the live show.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam.
How you doing?
Can I just say, Adam is ace.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, Adam.
I always remember when we were kids, we'd say that, you'd say, "Oh, you're ace, mate, you're ace." You'd say, "Yeah, I know, a crap effort." Sorry to go back to the playground there. Just remind me.
Can I just read the Rumpus's chat?
So bad.
Let me just read the Rumpus's chat to Ranty. It says in the main chat, it says, "Ranty Flat Earth, you twat. On a flat Earth, the bases of the wind turbines can never be obscured beyond the wave height." Is he correct, Ranty?
No.
But that means that Rumpus is a twat because he's lying again to everybody.
What,
Which is where
Mr. Air
Rumpus
is not the
gets his
atmosphere? I wouldn't be too concerned about Rumpus
Can-
and what he
can you-
states. He's a moron.
Can you say what did Rumpus say about the wave?
Said, on a flat Earth, the bases of the wind turbines can never be obstructed beyond the wave height.
So water and waves are one level all the time? Is that what he's referencing?
If he was to draw it on a piece of paper, he'd draw it in Muppet Vision. He would put the turbine, then he would put the observer 6 feet above the ground, and he would have a parallel line up to the base of the turbine and say that it's unrestricted. He would completely ignore perspective.
Let me ask you a couple of questions, Anthony. So if you've got a 10-foot wall and it's about, I don't know, let's say it's out, and for some reason it's protruding up through the waves in this image. If you're at, I don't know, a mile away from that 10-foot wall, can you see it?
This reminds me of Joshua. He asked this exact question, didn't he?
Yeah, shout out to Joshua. So if you've got a 10-foot wall at, let me just let me lead you. If you've got a 10-foot wall at about a mile, you've got various equipment to look at it with. Can you see it? And to
10
use
foot from a mile with a P900, yeah, I reckon you could see that.
right. So not, let's use Rumpus's vernacular, obstructed. You can see it.
No, I could see it.
You can see it. What about at 200 miles?
No, that'd be silly. That'd be like thinking, Nathan, that you could see New York from England.
Oh, preposterous! It's way too small to see. But
Damn.
it's not being obstructed. It's just too small to see. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
So in their mathematics, utilising Muppet Vision that removes all aspects of perspective, and you did what you suggested. Draw you on the left-hand side of the page, draw your 10-foot wall on the right-hand side of the page, and write 250 miles on the line between them. If you remove perspective, as per the Earth curve calculation, would you still be able to draw a line between them?
Of course. And it would be unobstructed.
And it would be unobstructed. And yet it would be too small to see if you push the distance out to 250 miles. If you were actually looking at it, it's just too small. Not obstructed, just too small.
Correct.
So why would he use the word obstructed? What do you think in his mind it's being obstructed by?
I don't know, Nathan. There's nothing in Muppet Vision that would ever obstruct it.
No.
Ooh, can I say?
Of course you can, Chocolate. Go ahead.
They think they have an edge, a physical edge of a sphere that's obstructing things.
Oh,
That's what they
right.
think.
So when he puts it in Muppet Vision, there's never an edge on a flat Muppet Vision representation. Whereas in his curved edge Muppet Vision representation, he's got an edge that can obscure things. Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's funny how some of these fundies at the moment are denying that the sphere's got an edge that can obscure things or have boats go over it. Amazing. You fundies, globeheads, you've got an edge. It's that thing that the rumpus thinks is obscuring shit when he removes perspective.
No, you don't understand. With a big enough telescope, you can see your own ass.
No, you've got to get it right. You've got to say it right. On a clear enough day with a powerful enough zoom and a bit of Paul's maths, you can see your own ass in a telescope.
Shout out to Verum. Sorry, one sec. Shout out to Verum for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. It says Big Chungus would love to come on the show. I don't know who Big Chungus is, but wonderful. Thank you for the super chat, Verum.
Don't forget, air is not the atmosphere.
Atmo.
Chungus is a fat Bugs Bunny, isn't it?
Bugs Bunny? Fat Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, you know when there's the big fat Bugs Bunny in the cartoons, and that's apparently Big Chungus. It's something my kids are saying, Nathan. Oh, you Big Chungus, and stuff like that. But as far as I'm aware, it's the cartoon character when Bugs Bunny's fat.
So we're all behind the times now. None of us are up to date with the current kids' lingo.
You're just not down with the kids, man, is you? Neither are my Tony, as you can tell from that response. It's just my kids tell me things.
I'm not either. Hey, listen, Nathan, it's 2:55. My premiere starts bang on 3:00. So when this live show finishes, straight over to my channel and watch the response for these two lying little weasels who cannot tell you the truth.
Give us a link and I'll stick it in the live chat so that when the live stream ends, the live audience have got somewhere to go. Can you stick it in Master B?
Hey, Adam.
Where do you want the link?
Master B.
You've got to plug it better than that. You've got to tell them the channel name, Tony.
Be here or be sphere for Sleeping Warriors premiere. The two Muppets exposed. It's going to be epic on the Sleeping Warrior channel straight after this live stream.
That was brilliant.
That's how to do it.
I have a correction for Adam.
I knew there was a pun coming.
No, it's the chimichanga actually.
The chimichanga's a sauce, isn't it?
Nathan,
No,
check.
it's a deep fried burrito.
Ah, that's it. Yeah. Mm.
You need to plug my one now, Nath.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. Brenda's toe tag. Brenda's toe tag on Rancy Flat Earth's channel. Tune in.
Nathan, check the
No, that's so 2 hours ago.
Did you have to take the shoe off to toe tag or what?
No, you don't.
Right, so the link's gone out. So hold on.
No, she can take her shoes off and leave at the same time.
Joking aside, so yes, if you're in the live stream audience, there's a link below, and once this live stream finishes, I'll try and end it on the hour. Go straight over there and check out Antony or Sleeping Warriors video, which is on Sean Hawkins and Blue Marble Science. Is that correct?
Yeah, Sean Hawkins. He's the one that says that there's no edge on a sphere. Like, so what do boats go over then?
So what's Rumpus talking about when he says stuff should be or shouldn't be obscured when you put it in Muppet Vision? What's he talking about? What's obscuring what now? You fucking fundies. Your edge. They've got an edge. I think it's brilliant.
To the point where they have to redefine what a wave is.
A wave?
They don't have an edge, Nathan.
Yeah,
no.
the ocean
They
wave.
need an edge. They haven't really got one in reality, but their model's got one. Doesn't work when they reify it into the horizon.
You know?
It's just a shame.
I personally prefer models that have actual tangible features.
You're talking
Like
about women now. That was really poor.
That have actual curves and actual globular shapes on them, empirically provably so.
Yeah, we got your your slightly pervy pun.
Hey, I've been single for 5 years, okay? What do you want?
Fuck. My language is getting terrible. 5 years. Okay. That's a hell of a dry patch.
Oh, let's not go there.
Dry patch?
Yeah. Dry spell, whatever you want to call it.
No, it's just the aftermath of falling very seriously in love with somebody.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Let's not have this conversation. It'll bring down the tone.
Aw.
Oh.
Hey, I'm over it.
I should bloody hope so.
Otherwise, I
5 years
wouldn't be
later.
making these jokes.
Come on, don't be silly.
Break your heart.
Right. Any more dumb fucks out there think that we live on a sphere, or have we killed them all now?
What, in the last hour? No, there's 99% of the Western world still believe it, Anthony. I'm really sorry we didn't achieve that much in this show.
Morons, these guys, pushing the ball.
I have a very quick
Rupert
image of
just joined.
They're not doing a good job, Anthony, pushing the ball.
60 seconds to go, Nathan. You might as well round it out.
All right, I'll just stick the link in one more time.
Flat Earth
then.
Early Bird Show, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day on Arwin channel. Whee!
Shout out.
Yeah, I'm putting the link in. So yes, as I say, as soon as I've done this outro, be here or be sphere on Sleeping Warriors channels. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on Nathan Oakley channel, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live and you're about to hop your way over to Sleeping Warriors channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all the new channel members, people who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Yeah. No, it's still recording, isn't it?
Did somebody just get that?
Yeah, we got it. And then I elaborated on it by
I didn't
saying
hear you.
she can take her shoes off and still be in the same reference
But we
range.
saw it coming a million miles away, though, Arwin.
What?
Your pun before you'd even got through the first sentence, which was subtle originally, but then you went on and on, so it became less and less subtle.
Sorry. Yeah.
Not that it was subtle to begin with; it was glaring. But there we go. It's not as terrible as I thought, Arwin. Generally speaking, if people haven't been, dating for 5 years, if they're men, they're normally non-stop talking about sex and being pervy.
Yeah. Right. But I'm actually a bit of an old-fashioned guy at it. Yeah. But
What,
that
you-
doesn't mean that the concept of models don't apply to me. I mean, appeal to me. Just every time people talk about models and models aren't real, I just can't help but think about certain types
Tagging
of
women. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
So Rumpus said the wave does what again, Anthony?
The
That was
nobles,
so asinine.
domesticated primates saying the Norway guys put out another video this morning debunking the rig video. Really? Who the fuck's the Norway guys?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Where were they 5 minutes ago? You know what I mean?
Chocolate's on the call here, Anthony. So you want to ask him how he said that to the Norway guys? How'd you get that first picture, Norway guys?
No, I've snipped out from the Ballbuster show when he said it live. There's Chocolate's pièce de résistance. Every now and again, he comes up with an absolute perler. It's almost as if he's rehearsed it like 50 times, and he's sat there waiting patiently for it. And he just comes out with the most fantastically, beautifully eloquent, descriptive poetry of a line. And it's usually to do with George Musa, but he did it with the oil rig platform things the other day. It was brilliant.
Not coming off mute. I've tried to say the same thing when we were summarising the strong points of the Ballbusters, and when it got to chocolate, I'm like, chocolate's there at a pinch when you've been going around in circles with a baller with the concise and succinct summary that obliterates the argument. It might have been said 5 times, but he'll say it in a more concise way, in his dulcet tones, and everyone gets the message instantly, and it's like a little bit of relief. You're like, chocolate's saying.
Yeah, I agree.
What did I come back to?
We
were talking about the chocolate on top of the ice cream.
We were talking about how concisely and succinctly you can summarise a point, and you were having your praises sung by Sleeping Warrior.
Oh, okay, cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just saying that every now and again, like, you come out with this beautiful poetry description of whatever it is that you're going to say. You say it so it just sounds beautiful, and it's just brilliant. You do it brilliantly with Musa and other things, but
Nathan just gave it the perfect title. One of those summaries is a chocolate saying.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just for context, because you weren't here hearing it, so we were talking about your explanation of how you couldn't have the one image for the other one to exist, or something along those lines. You said it better. Shock horror.
Oh, when John presented I'm sorry, it's a little loud over here. But when John presented the other picture, the second one that could possibly be a debunk, well, that's not really possible to debunk anything, because the first picture was taken and it should not have been able to. So there's no way that the second picture debunks anything, because if the math is correct, the first picture would have never been able to be taken in the first place.
Yeah, the denial on their side is just absolutely shocking.
While I have a quiet second, it's funny because I heard Toady and these guys talking on, I think it was Jose's or something. And even Toady sounded a little bit honest. He was just like, well, we're seeing a little bit too far for what we're supposed to be. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But he's questioning. And he's like, well, don't we have to have some form of an explanation for this? Because we are seeing too far. And it sounded like everybody was in agreement with that. But then Lewis says, no, all we need is refraction. And I was dying. All you need is refraction. That's all you need. One word.
Or is it intellectual dishonesty?
Well, it's intellectual dishonesty, and I'll tell you why. Because he said what we should see. Well, immediately he's into believing that what his model says should or shouldn't occur is what we should see. Wrong. But based on his cognitive processing, he's automatically into saying the model says it should be something else. We don't live on a model, and I couldn't give 2 shits what your model says we should or shouldn't see. I've got eyeballs. I don't look at models to decide what I should or shouldn't see. You do. And he's saying, my model says something different should happen. That's a problem. No. That's not a problem. Because it's only a problem if you believe your model is reality. And when it doesn't match your model, somehow that's a problem? No, just look at the horizon and go, yeah, horizon, who cares? Not, let's reference my model and what should or shouldn't be seen. It's preposterous, but that's what they do. So it's absolutely intellectual dishonesty. They're wired to decide what they see based on a model.
Yeah, in their mindset,
the way from what I heard the way I heard it, it was Toady actually kind of asking our point. Like, why are we seeing as far as we're seeing?
Yeah, I get that.
Right?
I get that. I get that. But my answer is because I've got eyeballs. That's the only answer required. But they say, why should we see this? The model says otherwise. I don't care. I've got eyeballs. Why should we see that? Who cares? There's no reason to explain it. Other than it not matching their religious belief, there's no necessity to explain it at all. But they immediately say, this isn't what we should see. Well, says who? The model they're reifying says so. Now, this is just religious zealotry.
Yeah, good point there, Nathan, because their math says we shouldn't see it, but we're seeing it, just like the way you talk about the clock tower.
So the math and abstraction says, can't speak, what we should see with our eyeballs. Does this not ring alarm bells in any fundies' heads? Because it should scare you. You know, it scares me putting myself with a bit of empathy into the position of these people like Toady, who goes, well, that's not what we should see. Hello? What do you mean? What we should see? Is that the tool that you'd normally use to decide what you can see? No. But your religion says you must. Be scared, fundies. Be afraid. Your religion's got such a tight hold on you that models are telling you what your eyeballs do.
Hey, Nathan. You got a second show today?
No, it's after show. Unless somebody bootlegs the aftermath.
I'll move them.
Nathan, sometimes it's very hard to not do what models tell you, especially, for example, the model that I shared with you in Skype. You know, I'd go with what that model would tell me.
Sometimes it's hard to trust a model.
It's not necessarily going to lead to a good point at any time soon, but yeah, sorry.
Bring all your love to just one map.
Yeah, I don't even understand what you just said there, Arwen.
I thought I'd keep it private.
Your map.
Here's your model.
Oh gosh, Arwen.
Alrighty then. I looked at my phone at the right time.
It's a model.
What?
A model, you're not wrong. Because, you know, QE often
Yeah.
asks for clarity. Well, you say model. What do you mean? What kind of model?
A model with
a
actual
supermodel?
proven curvature.
Exactly.
You have to be specific. What type of model are you talking about? I heard between Brian and Ranty. Oh, he's gone. Obviously, no bootlegging opportunities today. So between Ranty and Brian, they asked Brenda, "What's your model?" And now she knows damn well she hasn't actually got a model, but she said, "The Earth's a sphere. That's a model." What? Your declaration that the Earth's a sphere is a model, is it? So it's like, well, let's get specific. Let's define what a model actually is. Is Brenda stating that Earth is a sphere a model or a religious belief? Now, eventually, Brian did say that's your belief, but she kept on reasserting that her just asserting that the Earth is a sphere is her model of the Earth as a sphere, because they don't have one.
Yep.
You hear these guys yesterday stepping and fetching, man. They're checking out the lease contracts to ensure that the oil rigs are floating or anchored.
Yep, whether or not they're going up and down. I saw that.
That's clutching at straws, that is.
I know.
Ballers! Guess what?
I just noticed something weird.
I got the black swan. Ha!
What's the black
You're
swan?
finished.
What's the black swan?
Oh, more or less what I was saying. Remember when I was saying that every shot of the oil platforms that shows the horizon closer than the platforms, those are all basically, I called them false positives. You could call them white swans. Same concept. Everyone probably knows this one a little bit better, right? So every photo, they could show me 5 billion white swans of those platforms and the horizon being closer. All I need is one. I got the black swan. Done.
I would have made an example with Ranty's affirmation, but he's not here. But Ranty, the same thing applied. It's probably over a year ago, maybe even a year and a half ago. But when you first saw the picture of Barrow Inverness, and Ranty started doing the same, presenting up, well, what about these false positives? And he said, it doesn't matter. You only need it once. That's it. And game over. You don't need to go back. And at the time, the reason for that explanation at the time was because there's this scientific hijacking of the repeatability aspect when performing scientific experiments. That has been utilized to suggest in some way it would be more scientific if you go out and repeat an observation. It's just not the case. You don't need to repeat it. You've seen it. And that now is being described as this black swan. You only need one to prove you can have black swans. Doesn't matter that there's millions and millions of white ones.
Exactly, you got it. You're sharp too. That's exactly right.
Not sharp. You explained it to me with Ranty's Barrow Inverness observation 18 months ago, so that's why I understand it. Not being sharp. Just you've told me already.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. I explained why, because they were screwing up the repeatability aspect of the scientific method. This isn't an experiment. I'm just looking out and seeing the horizon. That's all I need to see. I got the black swan, baby. Get some.
That's another way of saying chocolate's statement as well. How'd you get the first picture?
Yeah, that's what we're
Then you
referring
had
to.
then you had that knucklehead Mark Doxey. He's a baller now, right? You, sir, embarrassed you don't even know how much you embarrassed yourself yesterday. I loved it. Please keep coming on these shows. You had Rumpus correcting you, right? And he should be institutionalized. So there you have it. What a joke, sir. Where's your ether now?
Oh no, is Mark Doxey an ether believer?
There's many ether
he's
believers
an ether
out there.
believer too. I just had to add that in.
It's a real shame when it's people you really
What-
like. 'Cause on a personal level, I really like Mark Doxey. He's a really great guy.
What?
I like.
Wait, I
Mark
believed
Doxey.
in gravity. I believed in gravity. Did
Really?
you hate me?
Hold on, Arwen.
Yeah, I hated you.
What?
You were a completely annoying prick for about 6 months, and you know it.
Yeah, but that's not because of gravity. That's
Yeah, it
because
was.
I was an annoying prick.
Yeah, a direct consequence of you. I say it with
What's
such
your proof?
disdain.
What's your
even
proof
though
for the relation of
I'm
gravity?
going to give you a compliment. It's going to come as a shit sandwich. Don't rumpus the compliment bit. So even though now we're far more progressed because of this argument you had with Antony for about 6 long months, it was annoying.
Right.
Oh yeah, I need to
It
give a
was
nice bit at the end.
necessary, though.
And you're a great person.
Thanks. Appreciate that. You are too.
Nathan, did you hear the audio clip that John posted in Ballbusters earlier?
No, I didn't. I can't play audio clips on the iPad, but I can on the PC.
And your personal messages. Did you hear that? You want to play that?
From Mark Doxey. You want me to play Mark Doxey, MP3?
Sure.
And then he climbed up to the ladder, to the steps, and he's about 35 foot. So I'll scroll
Gentlemen,
down. Go ahead, Mark.
Gentlemen, I just want the company tonight. I in no way do I support Nathan Oakley or Sleeping Warrior. I think they're both stupid dicks.
As I say, he's a really nice guy, Mark. I really like him.
That was a great argumentation there. You know? It was brilliant. Like even I genuinely can't stand Ranty at times, you know, he's doing great now. But I always never forget to mention that, yeah, but he is really great at his camera work. So never forget it, no matter how much I hate him. Oh, Mark Doxey just say, they're dicks. They're dicks. It's just brilliant.
Now, that wasn't the only argument he had, Arwood. The rest of his arguments were worse than that. It was so funny. Rumpus was correcting it. He kept on correcting him. Right? If you got somebody who needs to be straitjacketed, then horse tranquilized, then institutionalized, correcting you, you got some problems, friend. What a clown
John,
you are. Thanks. Keep on going on these shows. Mr. Karl Popper. You don't even know what a black swan is. Clown.
So, John, besides the ad homs, obviously he didn't give a good argument against the platforms.
Yeah, hey, listen, you got to listen to it. I'll tell you what, I was almost doubled over laughing at these friggin' clowns, man, talking about whether the oil platforms were friggin' anchored or floating. Everything, they were talking about the cranes, everything, but they don't even know the argument. That's how bad it is.
Even
It
if they
is
were
hilarious,
anchored or
man.
floating, what's the horizon doing behind them?
Exactly. Exactly. Hold on, Chocolate. Yeah, precisely. When you get this convolution, get it straight back to the point. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about that physical edge you think boats go over, the thing that's obscuring things in the distance. Not about where the oil platforms are in height, or whether or not they're anchored, or whether or not you think that the line of the water in the near foreground's actually the physical edge. No. The horizon, in your model, is a physical edge, and it cannot appear beyond things that are supposed to be behind it. That's the end of the argument. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Refraction.
No, refraction can't. No. Refraction can't bring something that's physical and obscuring stuff in the distance back to project itself behind the things that are actually obscured. That's a physical and geometric impossibility. No, not refraction.
It's impossible, but you can think of it as possible.
No, you can't. It's just impossible.
They say refraction, but they never say what refraction is. You can't say refraction is too ambiguous, you knuckle draggers. You got to say it's either sinking, looming, towering, or stooping for the horizon. The horizon does none of those things. And by the way, crayon munchers, you can make that 1 foot observation 5 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet. It doesn't matter. You're still screwed. I got the black swan. Ah!
Yeah, we'd like rebuttals to that argument, please. Not a different argument or a different photo or a picture of a white swan you're debunking. No, thank you. Stick to the black swan. That horizon, the physical edge that you fundies reify. Yeah, it's in the wrong place. A place it cannot be.
Consider that black swan the baller's black plague. You're done. You don't know it yet, which is hilarious, but you're done. Thank you.
Yeah, the Earth's obviously an observably flat. It never was a sphere. Their reification of a model never washed to begin with. Go on, whoever in G+, I've been rumpusing along with QE.
Maybe we should just call it R fraction.
That's what it is. 7/6R. That's precisely what terrestrial refraction is. R fraction.
Another funny thing about them is I heard Rumpus talking about the guy that made the video, and he actually backed up. He did the research on where the guy took the video, and are those the oil rigs, and he confirmed all that. The only thing he said was, "Oh, the guy is stupid because it's definitely not a foot off the ground." And I'm like, well, the guy looks like he literally puts the camera on the ground. You could see him do it. I don't even think it is a foot.
Yeah.
Right? But he's like, oh, it's definitely not a foot. Definitely not a foot.
Yeah, with this particular example, where I say it and it comes across as metaphor, they have to deny the evidence of their own eyes. In this instance, they have to do it in about 4 different places. They have to deny the end result, the picture, where the horizon is, and the observation itself in terms of its height, even though it makes no difference. Yeah, well, they can deny the evidence of their own eyes. All of these things, even though they're not applicable or wrong in many instances, don't address the actual argument.
Isn't that the baseline tactic?
What, of the
with
station?
everything now?
Yeah. Yeah, well, no. The baseline argument in this instance is far more interesting. The baseline argument is to turn this very weak point in their globe reification into an attack on us. Where's our sphere? Where's our sphere? Where's our edge? And then draw our edge that we don't reify with a boat falling over it. So they've got an edge, boats are claimed to go over it, it's a reification that doesn't work, and there's a black swan that proves it. And no one's addressing it? Just bringing up other white swans. Here you go, look, there's a white swan. No, who cares?
I felt bad, though. Toady did try.
I got one.
And he got shut down by his own people.
Hold on,
told
QE.
him refraction.
Say again, Chocolate. Hold on, QE, 1 sec.
No, I was just saying, I kind of felt bad because Toady was trying to be honest and saying, but don't we have to have an explanation? And he put that to his fellow Globers, right? Because he knew something is wrong. We shouldn't be seeing that horizon past 9 miles. They all know, because I heard them all confirm. Yeah, we're seeing the horizon past 9 miles. Toady was trying to rate up like, hey, there should be some type of an explanation. This is a problem. Lewis, all we need is refraction. That's all we need.
No, there is an explanation.
That's when I turned it off. I was done after that.
Yeah, in R they trust. All you need is R fraction. 7/6R. That'll solve everything. Go ahead, QE.
Yeah, I got a crayon muncher in the chat. He said it's refraction. Then he said, "Look at the cranes." Look at the cranes.
Sorry, we're looking at the horizon. The argument is about the physical edge, the thing that's causing the obstruction discussed on the live show in chat by Rumpus. Something's supposed to be obstructing something else. It's a physical edge. You fundy idiots. Not the cranes. God, can't they listen?
Or they can't.
No, they can't, Nathan, because their model doesn't match what their eyes show.
Yeah, I don't care what their model does.
I'll tell you who's just come out as confirming that he doesn't care now. I mean, even though I think when we interviewed him a while back, he was happy to admit it wasn't a ball. But Max Egan's now come out with the truth, whether you like it or not. I think he's come out as a flat earther, which I think is quite a big impact for the truther community, for him to be standing up, because it's something he's avoided because of the connotations and the implications for his other work. But it's interesting, I think, if he's come out and finally come out of the bally closet onto a flat plane.
Sorry, just one minor correction. His journey is not him avoiding it. Him going on Globebusters is not him avoiding it. Him now discussing what he's been looking into prior to making a declaration is definitely not him avoiding it. I don't mean to just be contrarian.
No.
Simply,
Okay.
That's simply not true for Max.
No, he's attacked it. I mean, I remember when we interviewed him, Nate, he was like, I'll discuss it if you can show, and then came up with lots of presuppositional arguments.
I agree. I understand that. Yeah. My position, generally speaking, is anybody who's here, including the Zealots, are here for a reason. Now, while they might be on a different path to mine, a path they are on nonetheless. Now, I appreciate that Max's path was one that, like most people's programming permits, was one of ridicule and disenchantment and disbelief. But he was still on the path. That's my point.
Wait, what did Max Egan do?
Have I completely spoiled the point you were making, Adam?
No, not really. No.
We were all globeheads once, right?
Digesting it.
We're all globeheads at one point. Everyone's come here. Mark Sargent's opening gambit is to say that he came to this subject trying to debunk it.
Just cut out.
Someone trying to say something, Chocolate?
Nope, not me.
No, there was someone in faint I heard in the background.
The only reason I'm expressing this so strongly, Adam, is because that was exactly my view when he went on Globebusters. So he is looking into this. So this isn't his conscious thoughts then. This is very positive. Now everyone else is like attacking him, but I saw it in a very different light.
When we spoke to him, and John did most of the talking, but he wasn't denying it. For us, he was on that journey, but for him, primarily, it wasn't. But for a lot of us, it becomes quite the main focus point of your efforts, where you focus your attentions. But for him, it still stayed in the side, because he is a big social warrior, isn't he? So, for me, he was just pushing it aside because he didn't want to have to deal with it, and that's why unless somebody could come up with the answers to his misformed questions, he wasn't prepared to deal with it. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you, Nathan. I'd say, yeah, I wasn't critical of him. In that, I thought fair enough. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't saying it was a ball. He was saying, I'm not going to challenge this stuff because I'm not until I could get answers to these certain things. I'll have to look up what they were because they were a while ago.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
you
can.
No.
Oh, good.
Can't hear you, Tony.
I just wanted to ask, Adam, did you say that Max Egan had now jumped off the ball? Maybe not to flat, but he's off the ball.
It's come through in the FE core, and Zach's just sent it, thingy. And so I've not just seen it, but it says the truth, whether you like it or not. Sorry if I upset you, but it is what it is. Huge love to all my brothers and sisters. Max, more to come, much more. So I'll post the link in Master B, and I'm going to have a watch later on. So I assume that's what he's saying. Well, that's what it's being reported as he's saying anyway. So there you go. It's in there.
Right.
Do you know what's really annoying? I've just rendered my video and played a premiere, right? And throughout the video, I had two pictures side by side blinking so you could see one next to the other, so it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. One of them's a black fucking screen. So I've just done a really quick render to see whether a low-res copy of the same file would render with the image in it or not, because obviously there's something wrong with the image. And it's the low resolution render has worked out perfectly, even though at low res. And the black screen's not there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why has it done that? It's the most bizarre render I've ever done.
Yeah, happens to me occasionally. You'll render something and it'll come out all crackly, or I don't know why it does that. Then you re-render it and it does the same thing, and you change the resolution and it seems to correct it. And you're like, what? That shouldn't make any difference to the audio.
Yeah. Odd. I've never ever done a video that's not showing half of it, not showing something that if I put something in, it's always appeared. It's never ever not appeared, and for some reason that thing then didn't do it.
Be more fussy about checking what you're actually going to publish. I say that Math Powerland released a video. Now, I don't know how he's managing to do this, but somehow he's managing to play a video of a live stream he's produced an hour earlier and then talk over the top of it to the point where, because it sounds so similar, the recording and him speaking, that it comes across as the most convoluted, nonsensical ramble, literally completely and utterly incoherent, because it's two different conversations from the same person transposed over the top of each other. I mean, my only comment was, have you actually listened to this? Because, you know, he's calling out Snopes, but it looks really bad.
Yeah, that's why there's no point doing voiceovers or on a hangout that you've been in, because the audience can't distinguish between you being the hangout and you being the narrator.
Right. Well, this wasn't even him narrating over the top of something else. It just sounds like it's a mistake. But it does make you question. It's like, have you actually rendered this and it's just come out that way by mistake and then you just haven't checked it? Or have you intentionally done this because there's some purpose behind it, which would just make you seem crazy?
Nathan, I want to
did Ranty run the after show from yesterday?
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was doing that live show tonight, wasn't I?
Nathan, I want to get to a point, but I'm going to ask some questions to get there. So how did we get the housekeeping questions to become the housekeeping questions, in the sense that it's a very objective way of approaching each and every one of them?
By getting down and dirty in the trenches over time.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I'm not asking that. Why do we have them as housekeeping question? What purpose do they serve?
Because I can't answer them.
Thank you. So now we added a ninth. This is how we started the show today. Remember, Anthony?
Now we added a knife.
Yeah, we have a ninth question now.
Ninth.
Any evidence
Oh, a ninth. Sorry. Yes.
A knife to it. Yeah. Tell us.
No, we got a black swan. Okay. Yeah. Any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurements? So we added the ninth. Why did we add the ninth? For the same reason we had the 8. They're solid, they're strong, they're objective, they're not subjective, they can be demonstrated, or they can't be demonstrated. Some are questions that still await an answer. Some we can go out and we can all go to the beach and do a 1 foot. I mean, Ranty's on the show, he did it and got 18 miles out of it. There's no walking around these. And so when QE comes on and says they're now talking about the platforms attached or floating, or look at the crane that's changing. They're talking about something we're not talking about. It's the horizon we're talking about.
And with that, I'll say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Again, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G+ panels for making this after show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!